G'day guys, Mitch here from Finance Fitness Coaching again. Today's little video I want to talk to you about whether you're an average investor or a professional investor. I've seen many financial statements over the years. I want to just show you some of the patterns that keep emerging in some of the people that have multiple property portfolios, some of the people that have multi-million dollar portfolios of real estate, businesses, shares, etc. etc. So there's a few of the little rules that they all adhere to. Look, don't let that stop you doing something, but at least let's have a look at what some of the differences between an average investor and a professional investor. So, what type of investor are you? There's 10 little points here. Obviously there's more to it than just this. This is just a summary. We will cover more of this in our Wheels of Wealth type seminars and stuff like that. But what type of investor are you? An average investor doesn't know their numbers, where a professional investor always knows their numbers. I can tell the difference. They have a spreadsheet, they have their LVRs, they have a bit of a flow chart going on of all their different assets and liabilities. They know their LVRs, they know their debt to equity ratio, they know their numbers and they update them regularly. They may even have zero fees and software or that sort of stuff. Whereas these guys come in and go, yeah, I don't know, I think I earned 60 grand last year. These guys are like, no, I know what my LVR is, I know what I'm at, I know what I'm next going to do. Now, the average investor has one financial statement, whereas a professional investor has many financial statements. So they have a business and property and shares and all that sort of stuff, and each one of those things has a financial statement, whereas an average investor just has that one financial statement, one source of income. Many financial statements, many sources of income means there's ways to distribute the cash flow, distribute the profits before you pay tax to your own portfolio. More about that obviously in our Wheels of Wealth seminars and upcoming videos coming up. The average investor likes everything in their own name. The professional investor likes nothing in their own name. Okay? Now I don't want you to stop doing deals just because you've got stuff in your own name. That's fine, but from going forward, I've seen the professional investors move everything that they own or anything that they want to buy now is going into corporate structures, asset protected vehicles, that sort of thing. It's very smart. The average investor holds only paper assets, whereas the professional investor holds all four asset classes. Now when I'm talking about all four asset classes, I'm talking about business, real estate, shares, and precious metals like gold and diamonds and stuff like that, okay? Whereas the average investor only really has shares, or they might have some managed funds and an industry fund, etc., which they don't really have control over. Which brings us to number 5, has no control over the assets. If you've got shares in BHP, how can you physically control whether BHP has a good day or a good year or pays a dividend or not? You can't. Whereas a professional investor uses the invested controls. They control the entity, they control the timing and the character. In fact, there's actually about 10 or 11 different investor controls depending on what type of deal you're doing. And a professional investor knows these investor controls and has a minimum of the first 3 of at least controlling those things. So, the average investor, I hear this all the time, oh, I focus on capital growth. When this property goes up, I'm going to make a ton of money. Whereas a professional investor has a different type of mindset. They focus on cash flow. When this property pays me a certain amount a month, cash flow every month, I'll be kicking back because I'm free and clear. I've got money coming in that I don't have to work for. So they focus on cash flow rather than on capital growth. An average investor wants to do it all by themselves. I want to make all the decisions. I want to do all that. Whereas a professional investor has a competent team. You need a team of about 12 or 13 different people to make your tribe and your area of life successful. You need competent solicitors and legals and financials advice and mortgage brokers. Come see us for that, obviously. Shameless plug there. But you need a competent team, and that's what they do. They still make the final decision, but they have a competent team of competent advisors, and they all work together. So these guys over here do it all by themselves. Number 8, they avoid making mistakes and they avoid having failure. Whereas a professional investor knows that mistakes and failure is part of the process, and what you learn from those mistakes can then piggyback into another deal that later on becomes much better for you. I've made terrible mistakes in my investing career, but I've learned from those and learned to focus on what works best for me now. I don't go to American Buy Property anymore. That was silly. So I know that mistakes and failure are part of the success process. Okay, it's a mental decision. Number 9, the average investor uses words like diversify and dollar cost averaging. And when it goes up, I'll make this much money, a bit similar to this one. Whereas the professional investor uses words like focus, cash on cash return, my return on investment, my ROI, or my positive cash flow. So these are the type of words that these people use. Our vocabulary is different. We're not just thinking about hoping and wishing and praying that the asset's going to go up. We're thinking, okay, every month I'm going to get paid. I'm doing this deal. What's my cash on cash return? What's my return on investment? There's a whole vocabulary that's different than just hoping and praying. You're working and lowering your risk by the more that you know about that investment, or the more that you know about your vocabulary of investing. Number 10, they think in black and white, right or wrong. Whereas the professional investor thinks in a financial grade, but they also think in a creative way as well. Problem solvers and stuff like that. So just because you get a no over here, it's no, it's done. But over here, these people get a no and go, well, don't tell me what you will do. Don't tell me what you won't do. Tell me what you will do. How can I make this great? And some of these best things in my life have been when I've got an answer or a block over here, and it's pushed me to another solution where I've created something better and smarter for myself and for my clients. So, what type of investor are you? Are you an average investor, or do you want to be a professional investor? Please leave some comments down the bottom of the page. Like my YouTube page if you like as well, and I'd like to see you at a seminar soon. This is Mitch, signing off.